Aloha, I'm Wataru Kawasaki from UN Habitat. Thank you, especially Mr. Timothy E., for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be with you today to celebrate World Habitat Day 2020 in Hawaii. Inclusive, vibrant neighborhoods and communities actions to address spatial inequality. Every October, UN Habitat and partners organize a month of activities, events, and discussions on urban sustainability. This year, it begins on 5th October. The theme of World Habitat Day 2020 is Housing for All, a Better Urban Future. And the global observance is being hosted by the city of Surabaya in Indonesia. I believe that the theme, Housing for All, is greatly fit to today's panel discussion on Honolulu's success in urban regeneration and inclusion. I'm humbly honored to introduce how I met team and partners in Honolulu, who have been contributing to the implementation of the New Urban Agenda to accelerate the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals. I first met Tim during the United Nations High-Level Political Forum in New York, 2018. That year, I was invited to speak at the World Habitat Day celebration in Hawaii, co-organized by FIABC. Those two occasions that I met Tim and the rest of FIABC team, I was impressed by the strong commitment and innovative work they have done in making housing available, inclusive, and affordable for the middle class in Hawaii. Tim's vision of making the slogan, Housing for All, has been steadily translated into reality through his own company and with his active engagement with FIABC. I also know that his vision extends beyond Honolulu with charitable work through Sharing is Caring Foundation by providing quality living conditions to slum dwellers and garbage pickers in the Philippines and Cambodia. When Tim attended the first session of UN Habitat Assembly in Nairobi, Kenya, in May 2019, he caught an even bigger vision with the hope of extending the scope of his innovation through Africa. By constantly showing up, engaging, listening, and learning through UN Habitat events, Tim is growing into a world-class visionary leader who can really make a difference in people's lives through his presence and project. This year, during the World Habitat Day celebration, I wish to participate virtually and to pay homage to a dear colleague and friend. Congratulations, Tim and the FIABC Hawaii team, for a job well done. Mahalo.
Now we are ready to go to our main panel, and I'd like to introduce Jack Legal, who is the president of the Hawaii Association of Realtors and who has been supporting us all along every single time. And so he's going to be the moderator for our main panel today. So Jack, I'm going to send it over to you.
Thank you, Bill. And welcome everybody and all those that I cannot see on screen. I know you're out there, about 144 or something like that. I know we are over 100 who signed up for this conference this morning. So today, as Bill said, we celebrate the third annual celebration of the UN World Habitat Day, sponsored and organized by FIABC. And so today we have a high-powered panelists. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read their bios, their introductions to who they are. And at the same time, hopefully they will integrate in their presentation the answers to these two questions that we provided them. And the questions are, while the lack of affordable housing is one aspect of spatial inequality, how can new projects help fight social exclusion, improve Honolulu economy, dynamism, and social integration? The second question is, housing for all is a laudable concept. What actions can we take to address the continuing stigma around affordable housing and housing for marginalized groups. Let's have Tim. Tim, you're on.
Aloha, everyone. Starting off on that, the demand and supply, as many of prospect buyers asking, is there still demand in this pandemic crisis? A lot of people lost their job, and we're hoping that we'll recoup from this anytime soon, next year or two to come up. And we were sold out, as you know. Good news is instead of a cancellation notice or a request, we're having more people trying to be on the wait list if there's any, in case there's any fallout due to a pandemic crisis. So I know that there's a demand. We had close to 10,000 people showed up for a total of about 600 affordable housing units. And the government, state government stated back in 2014 that they're forecasting about need of about 65,000 units, and about 40 to 50% would be under affordable housing. And up to now, I think there's a little less than 10% being built, and we need to build more for upcoming 5 years more so. And I definitely want to try and contribute more on providing more affordable housing in Hawaii. And just briefly go over first project, Kapiolani Residence, was completed in 2018, and it was we targeted for a little bit lower income than what the state agency was asking. It was in between 80% to 140% AMI, area median income, but we lowered it down to 120% area median income and below. We didn't have any minimum, which was about 80% AMI. It turns out that the demand was there, and majority of the affordable housing buyer of 292 units, which was 60%, were purchased by people with income status under 80% AMI range. And for the second project that we're on right now, we're expected to have a completion next September. Hopefully that this pandemic, during this pandemic crisis, we're hoping to keep up with that schedule for those 512 home owners. It was sold out in no time. First project was sold out before groundbreaking. Second project was sold out after in weeks of groundbreaking. But this second project, we wanted to give more opportunity to different group who were left out because of this first project being under 120% and below. And so we had the minimum of 80% AMI range to 140% AMI range. And we're successful in terms of providing in variety group of income level. And one of the questions that we as a panelist were asked, how do we fight the social exclusion and bring this social integration? And I think we, in a way, achieved through the two projects from offering from zero income to 140% AMI income level. So we are looking into more of variety groups of an income level group in Hawaii so that everybody will have chance to apply and be qualified with their income. And we intend to keep on building more to different groups of an income level in Hawaii. And the reason why I'm here today, thanks to United Nations, UN Habitat Group, and also FIABC, the International Real Estate Federation, that I was invited to UN conference, a high political forum about 3 years ago, because they were focusing on this 4 Ps, which is public-private partnership, and simply adding people into these 3 Ps became 4 Ps project. So we were the model that they asked me to come and present at the UN headquarters 3 years ago. And I think that this is a more needed affordable housing project in Hawaii. And thanks to Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation for facilitating this 201H program, which offers 60% affordable and 40% market. And by going into this government program, we were exempted from height, density, and some city zoning regulation. And as a trade-off for being dominantly affordable housing unit to moderate income unit. And we're able to work with them, and we're successful. As I mentioned, that we're all sold out for those 2 projects. And just a restriction of sort of sales and transfer restriction is a buyback program, which is 10-year buyback program. The owner has to reside in the unit for next 10 years. And after 10 years, they can sell it to the market. And once they do that, whatever their capital gain is, they have to give back to the government to implement more affordable housing as a shared appreciation equity. And that's the condition that the buyers has to agreed on by buying the unit under the market price. And today I just wanted to go over a few challenges and the solution that I think it'll work. And we all talk about recouping from this pandemic. We all talk about this, how do we fight this social exclusion to bring Hawaii economies back and bring back the social integration through the new projects. And I think it is by doing this partnership with the government. As I mentioned, that HHFTC was a facilitator of this 201H program that we're in. But I urge them, I'm consistently communicating with them to step up and become a partnership. I try to focus on that, the word partnership. When we say partnership, from the beginning to the end, we have to go through this process together. The reason why the other developers, in spite of my success on 2 projects being sold out, they're hesitant to come into this market is because of lengthy entitlement and permitting process and strict rules and regulation on thinking that there's not going to be enough sales, there's not going to be enough profit. And I guess I try to tell other developers that that's not going to be the case. Although, we work with the government, we need to have more lenient regulations and rules, and we need to alter their program. They need to alter their program to fit into the current market, current economic situation like pandemic right now. So I'm not here to complain about the government, lack of the program that can support, but rather to recommend, rather to suggest that we work together as a partner. From being a facilitator to partnership, that we'll have the ownership. And I think as long as we make this community project, the affordable housing community project, meaning that we need to talk to the prospect buyers, we need to know their economic situation, we need to alter the rules and regulation according to the need of those possible prospect buyers out there in order to benefit. So by doing this private sector and the public sector working together as a partnership, it'll benefit people at the end. And it's all about people. It's not enough to emphasize more because they're the end user. And we're talking about next generation, second generation, third generation, once they buy their homes. My projects, they have to stay in there for next 10 years. And within these 10 years, these children will grow. And it is hard to see this. So we're pushing out these millennials. So we're pushing out these great young professionals out to the mainland and different part of the world because the living costs and especially the housing cost is too high. So I suggested that we work with government and the private sector together by communicating with our community, with those people, and create more community projects. So for the developers out there, I think by doing more sold out projects, we can make the profit that we anticipate. And by working with the government as a partner, we can make the rules and regulation and restriction a little bit lenient and try to offer them that this will be great change that we can make to have sustainable and accountability on having and providing more affordable housing. Thank you very much.